chapter 3 of the science of psychic healing, the instinctive mind. In our 14 lessons, we called your attention to the various planes of the mind and among others, the instinctive mind. This plane of the mind, as we told you, controls and manages the growth, nourishment, and operation of the physical body, every operation and function of every organ, part and cell being under the control and direction of this part of the mind. This part of the mind never sleeps, but attends to its duties while the reasoning faculties are quieted in slumber and rest. The constant work of repair, replacement, change, digestion, assimilation, elimination, etc., is performed by this part of the mind, all below the plane of consciousness. The wondrous work of the body is carried on this plane of mind without our conscious knowledge. The intelligent work of the cells, cell groups, ganglia, organ intelligences, etc., are under the superintendence of this plane of mind. In our next chapter, we give you a short account of this wonderful world of cell life that exists in every human organism. We advise you to read that chapter, as it will throw light on many puzzling questions and will enable you to direct your healing powers intelligently. The instinctive mind is not confined to the brain as a seat of operations, but is distributed over the entire nervous system, the spinal column and solar plexus being important centers for its operations. One of the most important facts that we have to consider in connection with the instinctive mind in this book is that it is susceptible of interference on the part of the conscious mind. This interference may be good or bad, according to the nature of the suggestions passed on by the conscious mind. In our chapter on suggestion, we have given a number of instances to illustrate the effect of the mind on the bodily functions. This effect of thought is occasioned by the conscious mind passing on suggestions to the instinctive mind, which then proceeds to act upon them. Many a man has become sick by reason of adverse and hurtful suggestions accepted by him and passed on to his instinctive mind. In the same way, a sick man has been restored to health by positive and helpful suggestions accepted and passed on in the same manner. And in both cases, remember, the diseased condition and the restored healthy condition were occasioned by perfectly natural process, by the instinctive mind passing on its orders to its subordinate parts, cells, organs, etc. We do not think it worthwhile to enter into a long discussion of the various theories advanced to account for the existence and operation of the instinctive mind. This book is intended to tell you how to make cures, and all the theory we think it worthwhile to give you is a mere general outline for the purpose of an intelligent comprehension of the process of the cure. To wander off into an extended discussion of the theories regarding minds or the speculations regarding life and what lies back of life would be out of place. We believe in keeping each subject to itself, believing that in this way, the student is better able to concentrate upon the particular subject under consideration. The workings of the instinctive mind will appear as you proceed with the study of the methods of treatment. The next chapter, which deals with cell life, will also throw further light on the subject. Chapter 4, Mind in Cells and Cell Communities. In order to understand the nature of psychic healing, one must have an acquaintance with the nature of the mental side of the body. Not only has the central mind a number of planes of manifestation, but each organ has something which might be called an organic mind, made up of a group mind of a number of cells, each of which cells, moreover, has a cell mind of its own. This idea is somewhat startling to those who have not acquainted themselves with the details of the subject, but it is also known to be correct, not only by the yogis, but also by those who have familiarized themselves with the recent discoveries of Western science. Let us take a hasty look at this cell life. As we told you in the 14 lessons, the yogi philosophy teaches that the physical body is built up of little lives or cell lives, and that each cell has an independent action in addition to a cell community action. These little lives are really minds of a certain degree of development, sufficient to enable them to do their work properly. These bits of mind are, of course, subordinate to the control of the instinctive mind of the individual and will readily obey orders from that source as well as from the intellect. These cell minds manifest a peculiar, I can never say this word, a peculiar adaptation for their particular work. Their selective action in extracting from the blood the nourishment needed and rejecting that which is not needed is an instance of this intelligence. The process of digestion, assimilation, etc., shows the mind of the cell, either individual or in groups. The healing of wounds, the rush of the cells to the point where they are required, and many other instances familiar to physiologists are evidence of the cell life and mental action. The entire body is built up of these tiny cells. This is true not only of the soft tissue and muscle, but also of the hard bony parts, including the enamel of the teeth. These cells are shaped in accordance with the particular work that they are designed to perform, such shapes and forms varying materially. Each cell is practically an individual, separate or more or less independent, although subject to the control of the organic mind and still higher, the instinctive mind. The cells are constantly at work, each performing his own particular task, like a well-trained soldier in an army. Some of the cells are active workers, and others are of the reserve force, kept awaiting some sudden and urgent call to duty. Some are stationary and others are moving about, attending to their particular duties and tasks. Some of them act as the scavengers of the system, carrying away the refuse and debris of the system, while others carry the nourishing elements of the food to all parts of the body. Cell life has been compared to a large and well-ordered community, each individual doing his own particular work, all for the common good. The community is a large one, it being estimated that there are at least 75 billion of the red blood cells alone. These red blood cells are the common carriers of the body and float in the arteries and veins, carrying a load of oxygen from the lungs and delivering particles of it to various tissues of the body, which give life and strength to the particular parts. On their return journey through the veins, the cells carry with them the waste products of the system. Like a merchant vessel, these cells carry a cargo on their outgoing trip and bring back a second cargo on their return. Other cells perform police work and protect the system from bacteria, etc., which might produce trouble in the system. These policemen are quite savage and usually get rid of the intruder by devouring him, but if unable to do so, dispose of him. They rally in number and finally eject him from the system in the shape of a boil, pimple, etc. The cells enable the body to carry on its work of continual regeneration. Every part of our bodies are being repaired constantly by fresh material, and the cells do the work. Millions of these little workers are constantly moving along or else working in a fixed position in the parts of our bodies, renewing the worn out tissues and replacing them with new material, and at the same time throwing out of the system the worn out and discarded material. Each of the cells of the body, no matter how humble may be its functions, is possessed of an instinctive knowledge of that which is vital to its life work and its own life. It takes nourishment and reproduces itself by increasing in size and then separating. It seems to have a memory and in other ways manifests mind action. We do not consider it necessary to go deeply into this matter at this point, and merely mention these facts that the reader may understand that these cells are living things having mind action. These cells are built up into organs, parts, tissues, muscles, etc., and form what is known as cell communities, in which their minds seem to combine, in addition to their having independent mental action. In the case of the liver, for instance, the millions of cells composing that organ have a community mind, which may be called the liver mind, and which acts as an entity, subject always to the control of the instinctive mind. This is a most important fact to remember in connection with psychic healing, for the whole principle of the latter depends upon the fact that these organs, through their minds, are amenable to mental control and direction. As we have said, each cell belongs to a cell group, and each group forms a part of a larger group, and so on until the whole forms a great group or whole community of cells under the control of the instinctive mind. And the little minds of the entire cell community combine under the control of that great instinctive mind. And at the same time, there are lesser combinations and still lesser until the mind of the single cell is reached. The entire mental organism of the cells is something quite wonderful and startling. The control of these cell communities is one of the duties of the instinctive mind, and it usually does its work very well unless interfered with by the intellect, which sometimes send it fear thoughts and demoralizes it. The intellect insists upon interfering with the established order of the body, and by introducing strange customs and habits, tends to demoralize the cell communities and to bring disorder into their ranks. Sometimes something akin to rebellion springs up among these cell communities or groups, and they revolt at working overtime or from similar reasons. In this connection, we take the liberty of quoting from our book entitled Hatha Yoga, which gives a clear idea of these cell rebellions. The book says, at times it seems that some of the smaller groups, and even some of the larger on certain occasions, go on strike, rebelling against unaccustomed and improper work forced upon them, working overtime, and similar causes, such as a lack of proper nourishment. These little cells often act just as would men under the same circumstances. The analogy is often startling to the observer and investigator. These rebellions or strikes seem to spread if matters are not arranged, and even when the matters are patched up, the cells seem to return to their work in a sullen manner, and instead of doing their work the best they know how, they will do it as little as possible and only just when they feel like it. A restoration of normal conditions resulting from improved nutrition, proper attention, etc., will gradually bring about a return to normal functioning, and matters may be very much expedited by orders from the will, directed immediately to the cell groups. It is astonishing how soon order and discipline may be restored in this way. Science has shown us that the truth of the old yogi teachings that all disease was cell disease, and it follows that if we can manage to get control of the cell trouble, we have mastered the entire problem. This control may be acquired in a number of ways, and the explanation of these ways and their method of application forms the subject of this book. I'm going to pause here because I just want to today, and we'll move into discussion and breath and meditation.
It's cute how they're personifying the little cell things.
Yeah, I was like, wow, the little spiteful cells.
Well, they get tired.
Yeah, well, when we don't take care of them.
Yeah. Americans are not great at taking care of them.
Catherine is taking this biology class. It's the biology teacher. Well, she's a scientist and obviously teaches biology, but she's also, it turns out she studied Ayurveda. I was like, yes, when I heard her say
Oh,
that
cool.
on the first class. But yesterday they were talking about how they were talking, they're doing the immune system, but they were talking about how our consciousness can heal if we can just find the shift and where we get stuck. Like if we get stuck, same thing as you were reading today, like if we get stuck in a negative place, then and then they were talking about the gut. Like I didn't know this, Amanda, you probably know this, but our immune system, 80% of it resides in the gut.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, think about like how much crap
Yeah.
people in general eat, and that's your gut. And that's 70% of your immune system.
Right. That was the whole thing with COVID, where people are like, oh, these healthy people are passing away. And it's like, they're probably not actually that healthy.
Yeah, like looking good, looking muscular and ripped. And
Yeah, it's not the same as healthy.
healthy. I used to be a lot more ripped. I used to look healthier than I am now because I had a six pack, but I wasn't as healthy as I am now when I used to work out like crazy. Actually, I wasn't healthy. I was working out way too much.
Right. And for Pitta, that makes the little cells say, I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh yeah, my Pitta was like off the wazoo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the it was a pretty interesting class, and it's so funny that like this is what you're reading this morning, and it just keeps happening.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
I feel like yesterday maybe they mentioned about the stomach or something I read recently. Like it definitely all comes down to our stomach and what we're putting in it. And
It
the
is. That's it.
stress, like I think it may be in the trauma book too, like just the amount of stress that sits in our gut too.
Yeah, but we put our emotions, we have to digest our emotions in our gut as well. So it's like some people who are even really careful about how they eat, they're not careful about how they think.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not even just food, it's everything that we have to intake
Yeah.
through our stomach. Yeah, it's so crazy. It's like such a simple fix, like that it's available to us. But meanwhile, like you have a problem, you go to the doctor and they shove a pill down your throat.
Right.
That's gonna cover it temporary, but
Well, it's another thing you have to digest. That's why there's so many side effects.
oh boy.
Like a lot of pharmaceuticals agitate Pitta and Vata so bad. But like people, I don't know, they think that they're healing someone. Like, so a friend, her kid had a fever, right? And it was like her baby's first fever. And she's like, have you ever given Isabella Tylenol? And I was like, no. And she's like, well, what do you do when she has a fever? I'm like, I give her Ayurvedic herbs. And it makes the fever go away because it's dealing with the underlying imbalance. It eliminates the underlying imbalance so that the body doesn't have to work so hard with the fever. And it's like almost instantaneous. It's amazing. So like I gave it to her and the baby was, all better really fast.
Yeah.
And it's like these doctors are like, oh, just give the baby Tylenol, when in a lot of cases it actually stops your body's ability to like produce glutathione, which is your detoxifying organ. So like they'll say, hey, we gave them this vaccine that's pumped full of adjuvants and they're going to get a fever now, give them some Tylenol, and then they can't detoxify from the vaccine. It's like nothing makes sense, It's like there's no
like for when I got my vaccine for COVID, they said, if you need to take the Tylenol, like there was no like just like I'm not talking about like serious case, but like in my example, like just give yourself time to let your body do what it needs to do. Get in bed and rest. Netflix. Veg out. Take a sick day. If you can, like I know I'm lucky that I can do those things, but I like just taking Tylenol feels like you're just adding more to the mess.
Well, yeah, I mean, the fever is there for a reason. Like it's a normal mechanism that the body's trying to use to eliminate something. So there are doctors like on the island, a lot of the crunchy moms talk about a particular protocol when a kid has a fever. I used to just leave it. If it doesn't get to 103, just let them have the fever because it's killing off whatever is a problem.
Yeah, I feel like when you get a sign like that, like a fever, it's a sign to rest and not
Yeah.
not pop medicine. Just like it's not your body telling you it needs like medicine. It needs rest. It needs time to do what it needs to do.
Right, because the rest might be helping the underlying imbalance that's causing the fever in the first place. My mom was a microbiologist, and like one of the mantras growing up was like respect the virus. Every time we would get sick, she'd say like, "You gotta rest, you gotta rest, you gotta rest," and that's what we did.
My
Right,
mom
you-
didn't have like the wherewithal to bring us all to the doctor every time we got sick. So it was just like get in bed and go to sleep. Like my younger sister still, she said that anything that was like, and she was a hypochondriac growing up. She was always sick because she didn't want to go to school. So I forget what number it was, but she thought like up until she was an adult that like it was some extreme example. I forget what it was like. She just thought if you had like a 99.1 fever that you just had to like get in bed and sleep. Because that's what my mom would tell her to do just because she didn't feel like dealing with her. But it wasn't like a fever at all. I forget what it was, but it was funny. But yeah, I think that's where now I don't like rush to the doctor. I just like give my body a minute to just process whatever it needs to go through. But and I also never get sick because I try to take these. I don't do a perfect job at it, but I love the people, and I have friends that do this. And Eric's part of this group. But like, they'll have alcohol, then they take a Tylenol or Advil to get rid of the headache, and then they eat crap all day because they're hungover, and then they take a Tums because now they're.
Oh man, yeah. See, that's America, you know, and they're like, oh, these people are healthy, but they're
Like, oh, we have all these tools to make ourselves feel better because we have Advil and we have Tums and we were talking about Gas X, which I've never had to take before, but we were talking about Gas X and
yeah, but it's all surface. It's all surface. Like I remember my dad was like, "Oh, I'm starting to get acid reflux," and the doctor gave him some drug, you know, and I'm like, "Don't take that. It's like not fixing the problem. Like you're too acidic. Let's fix your diet."
yeah, just fix
Doesn't
your
listen
diet.
to me.
But no one,
What?
yeah, just fix your diet and then
No,
you
but
won't.
like it came out that it's actually like causing people cancer, this particular drug, this antacid that they were giving people. And that's the thing, like if you don't fix the underlying imbalance, those little cells are going to keep rebelling worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Like people don't get that you got to get to the bottom of things. Otherwise, it just.
Everyone needs to watch Amanda's free COVID Ayurveda thing on YouTube.
That was awesome.
That was really awesome.
Thank you.
Amanda, do you remember your dad's pill was a purple pill? Because they wanted me to take that. And I was like 23
Was it
years old.
Xantax?
I don't remember. I just remember it was purple. And I'm like, I'm not taking a pill because I have heartburn. Like I gotta fix it with something. I'm just like, I remember thinking like my grandma saying, don't eat the tomatoes and eggplant and like the acidic foods.
He's right.
And I'm like, I'm not taking a purple pill, but it was purple. I don't remember what.
Yeah.
But yeah, and can you imagine? I went on it. I was like 23 years old. I'd still be on it, and probably like 10 more pills.
I mean, I've been reading really disturbing things recently that like everything used to be natural medicine. And then maybe a couple hundred years ago, a certain foundation, I won't say because YouTube will take down our video, but like they came and they were oil business and they wanted to figure out a way to make more money. So they funded the entire industrial medical complex and they started putting petroleum in the drugs and putting out this whole campaign that quackery was all the natural medicine. So the entire medical complex changed. And it's like, if you look to these more ancient civilizations like in Malta, you know, or like even my grandmother in Italy, like they had so many natural remedies that they would just use. They wouldn't have to go to the doctor 17,000 times because they had like ways, like the earth. There's this sweet story in Ayurveda about, I can't remember if it was Shiva or like the earth just provides. anything you could possibly need for any disease. I
Well,
feel super confident in that. And Ayurveda had surgery. It's not like it was like I had in vitro fertilization. Like it wasn't barbaric. It was like very, very intelligent and advanced. But all of the medicine was based on this principle that like you have to cure the inner imbalance and then all the symptoms go away. Like you're a whole person. And that's what we got away from. Like some things are good, but like if your doctor doesn't view your systems as interacting and you as a whole person, if they're just treating a symptom, then they're doing a disservice, in my opinion. So I'm sure every Ayurvedic practitioner feels that way.
Yeah.
Amanda, we had an herbalist in town, like when we were a kid, like if someone got in a car accident from the shock, they would go there and get you a bottle. He would bottle them in empty whiskey bottles. And I still remember the smell. It was so pungent and gross, but that's the first thing they did. Like if something bad happened and, like you were trying to process, they put you on this whole bottle of herbs that you had to drink.
Mm.
That's cool. Yeah, that's like totally normal. Like in Italy, we'd go, if you had like something going on, you'd go, and still when I was living there in like in the early 2000s, they have herboristeria. You go, you tell them what's wrong with you, and they give you a gigantic bag of herbs, and then they tell you how to use it. It was great.
What's sad is that like back home, they've really moved away from that. And like his kids and grandchildren, like no one carried this on. It's so sad.
Yeah, it's a shame. I know. And like, yeah, that's the tough part. Like for a while with the whole issue that we were seeing here and worldwide, it was like everybody sort of got panicky and forgot the innate intelligence of the immune system. And they thought like, oh, if there's just this quick fix, we just need a quick fix. Like they didn't coach anybody on losing weight or like eating properly or like herbs or medicines that would help, increase the ability of the immune system. And I think that was like kind of a scary part because a lot of people died who maybe didn't have to.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't stopped just because we have this like drug that we're giving people. Like people are also dying from the drug.
Yeah.
It's just really hard to watch. Everything's crazy. It's like we live in a backwards world.
Yeah, it's kind of the way I look at it, at least, it's the mentality of, oh, I can do this, and this, but I have to do that. And it's a shift. And I kind of, it's a lifestyle. Like I'll change to live healthier. And then everything will all these symptoms will probably just fall off and disappear. Or I'll just pop a pill or take a this or that. And people really believe that that's going to make you better in reality in the long run.
No, you need drugs to help take care of the side effects from the drugs.
Mm.
Like that in itself should tell you something's wrong with the drug. Like you watch those commercials and so they're like, this can like murder you and cause you to have cancer and lose your leg. And like they go through that whole list and I sit there like, what? Like Ayurvedic medicine, when administered properly, does not give you side effects. It just fixes the issue. Like you're not supposed to like, okay, so even the dermatologist, like, oh, we're going to put this like toxic chemical on your face. When your face starts freaking out, it's just a detox reaction, they say. Like, no, it's not. You're poisoning your skin. It's reacting and you're getting boils because you're poisoning the skin. Like Ayurvedic stuff, you put it on, it soothes your skin immediately and makes your pimples go away. It's like none of it makes sense. And people have been so indoctrinated into thinking that so much that's not normal is normal. That like people say, oh, I'm so healthy, but then I'll, but I'm having like, but I have IBS. I'm like, you're not your body is actually in balance then if you're having that symptom.
Yeah.
You know, like if your blood work isn't coming back good, like you have imbalances somewhere, like you're not actually healthy. I don't know. Yeah, like it's not a judgmental thing. It's like what you were saying in the book. Like the cells will protest. They're not going to work how they're supposed to. Their innate intelligence is what Ayurveda gets shielded or covered. They can't function the way that they're supposed to. And like we're getting, and I feel like if people knew this, they would care more about the pollution in the water, about the pollution in the air, about the pollution in the food, right? Because they would see that these things are contributing to their disharmony. But no, they're like outside spraying chemicals onto their own property where their children play and their animals play. Like that, it just boggles, you know, it's Kali Yuga. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just like preposterous to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's already almost 8:10, Amanda.
I know. I'm going. Bye.
Amanda has another meeting.
Have a good day, everyone.
Bye. And I'll lead us through breath work and meditation. We'll do 3 rounds of alternate nostril breath, and then we'll set our timer. And if you have to leave early, have a good day. So bring our right hand over to the face, close the right nostril with the thumb, inhale through the left, close left, exhale right, inhale right, close right, exhale left, inhale left, close left, exhale right, inhale right, close right, exhale left, inhale left, close left, exhale right, inhale right, close right, exhale left. Continue on a few more rounds on your own breath. No rush. When you feel done, you'll exhale out the left side. I'm setting the timer now, so you can join us when you're ready. Bringing hands to meet at heart center. Namaste. Have a beautiful day.